Okay, in today's demonstration, I am going to give 3 different examples of what to do with all of the jelly prints that you've made. Obviously, you could just keep, like if I love this, which I don't really, I see it needs more work, but let's say I thought it was finished, that could be the finished piece of art. I could use it as collage material. I could do what I'm going to do today, which I'm going to collage more on top of here, and then I could do more painting. So what I did ahead of time was I glued this print to a piece of Bristol paper, just so it's a little bit sturdier. And I will be demonstrating how to adhere with Mod Podge your work to, it could be canvas, again, Bristol paper, something a little bit heavier bodied that will take, if I want to add more paint to this, I can. Okay, so what you need to do, hi, thank you, Peggy. What you need to do is basically you're going to put together all of your prints that you made, pick out the ones that you like, but you think, oh, could use a little more work. And then you're kind of seeing what might go with what. So I did this ahead of time. This thing looks kind of like a creepy alien and bald. Okay, don't really love it. So I had printed these brush marks. I thought this looks like hair. So I took I saved my stencil that I had used on the jelly plate, and I marked out that shape. And hang on. Okay, now I'm going to cut this out, and I'm going to overlay it. It's going to hopefully look like hair. So here I go. And I marked it in red so you can see it. Okay, now the cool thing about this is I've got this that I could use on another piece. This could be the back of somebody's head, okay? It just goes on and on. Okay, so now, all right, I'm gonna glue that on there. It looks a little bit like hair. It looks a little bit like a windy background. So what I'm gonna do is turn this over, and I can either put Mod Podge on here or on here. I think I'm gonna put it on here because it's a little bit, it's stiffer, and it's going to be easier to put this on top instead of if this is all wet and gluey. Okay, so I've got my Mod Podge. I've got, you can really use any brush you want. I'm not a big fan of these foam brushes in general, but they're perfect for Mod Podging because the Mod Podge tends to really, it can ruin your brushes. It just makes them dry like a rock. So these, I can use them a couple times and then dispose of it. And I'm not going to ruin my good brushes. Okay, so I'm painting that in. All right, then carefully placing. Yeah, that's easier than having it all gluey on the back and trying to line this thing up. Okay, now I like to take a sheet of that deli or that sandwich paper I mentioned. I put it on top, and then I get my Bondo scraper, or you could use a credit card, and I scrape across the surface. So it looks like one uniform piece, and I don't have bubbles. And then I pull that off. If there's any extra, I could either trim that or glue it down. Sometimes the edges need to be glued down further. Okay, so this is a good base. I'm not going to do it right now on this one, but now I could come in, let's say I wanted to paint that nose a color. Actually, what I'm thinking is some of this swoosh in the background, I might paint across, which would sort of soften the weirdness of this thing. And maybe I'll come back at the end and do that, but I want to move on to my next one. So there's that one. Then this was also the same brush marks. This was a ghost print, and I've already glued it to Bristol paper. And then it could be as simple as that. I just take this stencil that has absorbed the print ink. I'm going to glue that on top, and then I could do something with this. I have a feeling it's not even going to be a realistic face. I don't know yet. So what these prints do, it just gives you all this material to explore different possibilities. Okay, so now because this is a stiffer file folder paper, I am going to paint on the back of this one. So what happens is you have all this material, and then by rearranging it, you're going to generate new ideas and connections. Okay, where did that go? Thought I had a whole stack of the sandwich paper, and of course now I've misplaced it. Okay, so I'm just going to put a piece of paper on top and do the same thing. Okay, so that could use more glue since it's thicker. And then if you want it to dry really flat, you could put it under, put a piece of deli paper on top and put it under a stack of books. Or I just sort of bend it back, as you saw me doing at the end. Okay, so now I have another piece to work with. And now my third one. Okay, so this is a piece of a music page that I printed on top of. And then last week, I took some of my prints on the deli paper, and I demonstrated this, so I'm not going to do it again, but I rolled Mod Podge on top of this, and it makes it like a skin. Then what I can do is I can start, you can't really see it too well, but I could put anything behind there. These shrimps are really bizarre. I'm actually going to, it's going to be the sheet music, but I wanted something else. So it's going to be a burger hat, and then the bottom part of the burger is going to be the dress or the outfit of whatever this person is. So let me just turn it around so I can get this placed appropriately. It makes kind of a nice, the burger connects perfectly with that little shape there. Okay, I'm going to glue what's on top first. still doing the scraping, okay? Now, let me just get this position where I want it. Okay, now I'm going to glue this to here. And then I'm going to glue the whole thing together. And hopefully it's going to be more see-through and you can see this musical notes through the deli paper. And if Mod Podge, you know, comes out, that's okay. Now, because I'm going to glue this whole thing on top of here, I am going to roll out an even coat of Mod Podge, and then I'm going to put this on top, okay? If you don't have a foam roller, you can just brush it on with the foam brush, but I'm going to show you both. Okay, so this is a pretty even and thin coat. I have to work fast because it's already drying. It's hot in here. Okay, that looks pretty well lined up. I'm going to gently smooth from the center out. Okay, so now you can see I picked this area because this appears a little bit like eyebrows and a nose. Okay, so I've got my burger person there. Now I would probably come back and paint on top so some of these things stand out. What I'm going to do is use, some of you've seen this before, it is a squeeze tube of acrylic paint. I'm just going to draw on top of there, and then can't find my deli paper. I'll find it after I'm done with the video. Then I just slightly blot and this spreads out, okay? If there's, as a matter of fact, I can even take some of that ink and move it to another area, like right there. Okay, so I'm directly printing painting, and I kind of like these lines because it goes along with the musical scale. Okay, here would be my nose. More blotting. I'm going to outline some of that lettuce. And now it's interesting. Now I'm going, oh, look, this ruffle in the lettuce is kind of like this ruffle thing I've got here that I made with the glue gun. So that's a nice connection. And I like to blot it because it just spreads it out a little bit. I chose to do some here, almost like got a feather in his cap, in his burger cap. Okay. All right. Then we'll do a little bit more. And I even saved these papers. Could use that for something. Okay, so, now his head is beginning to look a little bit like a teacup to me. I have to choose. Do I put face in or not? I'm doing it upside down, so who knows what it's going to look like. And again, you don't have to do a face. It could be completely abstract. Trying to figure out where to put the mouth here. Now I'm seeing other things, like, is that a waffle? What is that? Okay, haven't even gotten there, but I could come back and then start painting. Maybe I'll do a little just to show you. So it's very layered. So I can come back in and put paint right on top. I'm trying to get a green for the lettuce, and I don't really have a great green.
Have you tried the spray-on Mod Podge?
Didn't know it existed.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah.
I didn't get the spray-on Mod Podge, but I got some sort of spray-on tacky stuff. I'm hoping that makes life a little easier.
Okay, so what I'm noticing here is obviously that black paint is still wet, and so it's blending in a way that I don't want. So at this point, I would probably stick it in the sun, let it dry, and then I could come back in with my green, which I think I want it to be greener. But I think you get the basic idea.